Hello, I'm Elise. This is my sign name. I'm really excited to join as the guest on this cooking episode. Today I'll be focusing on Black History Month. I'm very excited. I've always enjoyed and been fascinated by the cooking style of Southern food. Back in the 1900s, they would use cast iron to cook different meals. So I decided to pick buttermilk biscuits that will be made from scratch. It's a fascinating process. Are you ready to go watch? Let's go. We'll start with mixing everything in a mixing bowl. You'll need flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder added into one bowl. You can see here, all these ingredients have been put into this bowl. I have my whisk. You'll also need butter and a cheese grater, and the butter will be added in. So you'll see me mix in the ingredients really well. After you've mixed the flour, sugar, salt, and baking powder, you'll move on to the next step, which is getting 1/4 cup of frozen butter. Why does it need to be frozen? It'll help with shredding the butter. Follow my lead. Grate the 1/4 cup of butter until it's all shredded into the bowl. Then you'll start mashing it up together, which I'll show you next. So now that the frozen butter's been shredded into the mixture, as you can see here, we'll be using buttermilk, 1/2 cup. Before we pour it in, we're going to actually use our hands to mix. Not a spatula, hands. The true way from back in the day. In older times, they didn't have all these different types of kitchen tools, so instead they used their hands. I'll pour in some buttermilk with my right hand and at the same time mixing in with my left hand. Once you've poured in all the buttermilk, use both hands and start mixing it until it's completely mixed really well. Once you're done, you'll have a ball of dough. Next, I'll grab a parchment sheet, and you'll need a little bit of flour. We'll be sprinkling it over the top of the paper. Then you'll take your biscuit dough and start kneading and folding it onto the parchment. Then divide the ball of dough into 4 to 6 sections. 4 to 6. They'll make biscuits, and then start patting them down so they're flatter. The last thing you'll do is to throw this into the cast iron that's been heating up in the oven. See? Now I'll go ahead and show you how to do it. Slowly pour in the buttermilk and then mix it with your hand. It's cold. You can add flour as needed. It's messy. Now you can see the ball of dough here. I'll start kneading and folding the dough onto the parchment paper. Once you've finished, divide the ball of dough into 4 to 6 sections. Size will depend on how many biscuits will fit into the size of the cast iron you're using. See how I flatten out the dough into a biscuit shape? Set aside and make the rest. Doesn't have to be perfect, just do your best. That's what I did. I finished making all of my biscuits. I ended up with 5. Yay! Before we put them in the oven, we'll need to cover the top of the biscuits with some spread to make them moist and brown. More of a brown color. That will be the end result once we take them out of the oven. I will be adding 2 ingredients together, mayo and 1 egg. Crack the egg into a small bowl and add half a teaspoon of mayo. Use a fork and whip it together really well until there's a smooth and creamy consistency. In about 15 to 30 seconds of whipping, you'll start to see it become more creamy. Once you see that texture, it's ready to spread on top of the biscuits. So, after we've whipped our mayo and egg, we'll set aside for now. I'm going to bring out my cast iron from the oven. Grab an oven mitt because it will be hot. Going to add butter to the surface of the cast iron. It'll help during the baking process and help the biscuits not stick. Drop a piece of butter in and move it around the entire surface of the pan. Once the butter is completely melted, go ahead and start placing your biscuits in the pan and move around slightly. You can flip over the biscuit and coat it on each side. It's up to you and what you prefer. I just prefer the one side. You can have them close together or slightly apart. The point is that they don't have to be perfect. Once you've placed them in the cast iron, they look okay. They'll come out just fine. Now grab your whipped egg and mayo mixture. Give it a little bit more whip just in case. Then take a pastry brush and start brushing the mixture over the top of the biscuits. We're all done. We'll go ahead and pop it into the oven and set the timer for 25 to 35 minutes. Keep an eye on it. The longer you keep it in, there'll be a darker color. The shorter amount of time will be a lighter color. I tend to pull it out right in between. That's it. We'll see the delicious results come out later on. Here are the results. Check out the bottom. Perfect. Mwah. Here they are, the real deal buttermilk biscuits. You can eat them with jam, honey, butter, all different kinds. Maybe even some cheese and lox. There are so many different options. The cast iron gives the biscuits that exact flavor. So good. Hope you enjoyed watching this cooking episode. Bye.